13th Age is a tabletop fantasy role-playing game. In the game world, there are 13 powerful characters called the 13 Icons. There's a roguish Master of Thieves, the Dragon Emperor, the Archmage. Here on page 12, there is a piece of art that presents to us sort of a box, a red box, a box with red fabric, and there are trinkets representing the 13 icons. I want to make all of these trinkets. And we're going to start with the Dragon Emperor's emblem. Our first challenge is going to be how to cut out a heptagon. A heptagon is a geometric shape that has 7 equal sides. That's not necessarily an easy thing to do, to draw. Heptagons have an internal angle of 128.5 degrees, which is not easy to put down with the old calipers. And so what I've done this ahead of time, is I've taken a regular inkjet printer and I've printed out a heptagon, and I have put the heptagon on the paper and I have used it to trace out my heptagon. And so what I'm going to do, here's the plan. I'm going to take my piece of brass and I'm going to cut out 2 heptagons. One for the base, which is the whole area, and then one which represents this star, the 7-pointed star area down here. And we're going to leave the purple areas missing. We're going to cut them out of the second heptagon. And we're going to put some purple velour, some fabric underneath, and it's going to look very regal and very royal in that way, and very exquisite in that way, I think. And then we'll focus on the dragon later. The dragon's the hard part. So, first thing we need to do is cut out this piece of brass. Now, if I was smart, I would have remembered to stop at Harbor Freight on the way home and pick up a new bandsaw blade, but I didn't. So I guess we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. All right, well, that's, you can't win them all. I guess we'll go to Harbor Freight and get a bandsaw blade. We got a problem here. These heptagons are not drawn the right way. All the sides are all wonky and they're all the wrong shape. You know what? These are not the same. These are not going to be 3-inch heptagons. These are going to have to be smaller than that because I can barely fit both heptagons in that brass. But right there, I think I'm going to have to tape these 2 things together and then go to the milling machine and use the milling machine to cut off our edges. The question is, how do you temporarily put 2 pieces of brass together that you need to stay in an orientation? Maybe some super glue and we'll heat it up later? That sounds reasonable. It's a couple days later. I'm going to show you what I've done since the last time we spoke. As you can see, a couple of things went awry. We had the thick piece of brass, we were going to cut it, and we machined all the sides. Turns out all of the sides were wrong. It turns out none of them were going to fit together, and we were going to keep having to machine the brass smaller and smaller and smaller. There was no way to salvage it, and so we decided to start completely over from scratch. It was total redo. So I got some sheet brass. I got some much smaller 3/16 sheet brass, and I did the same method. I printed out the heptagon on the inkjet printer, and I put it on the piece of brass, and I cut it out on the bandsaw, and I was very careful, and then I went through and I cleaned them up. Now, these heptagons, as you can see, they are the same. They are irregular shapes, okay? They're not perfect, but they're really close. I printed out the picture from the book in question, and we're going to use this. We're going to cut out all of the black parts right here using our X-Acto knife. And then we're going to scribe our design on the blue. Oh man, the last one. Yeah. Apologies for not filming that last part. It was simply too harrowing because my piece of paper was so thin and so brittle that I had to be really careful with the little hook tool that I had found because I was worried I was going to break my paper. And so I had to very carefully and very wonkily sort of scribe these lines. And I think we're in the neighborhood. Like, I think we're pretty close to what we want to be, because now we can take the calipers. Let's scribe the edge, okay? This right now is actual size. So we're just gonna we're just gonna put that much edge on the entire thing, just like this. Hopefully you can see those lines, those look good. Our job now is to get rid of all of these areas here without harming the integrity of the rest. How are we gonna do that? First thing we probably need to do is drill a hole through each one of these so that we can get a tool in there. But from there, we're gonna have to make some big decisions, because this is gonna get complicated pretty quick. I want to basically end up with a brass sandwich. And between my two pieces of brass is going to go some shiny purple velour I bought a long time ago. Now, where is that? Oh, first box. I don't really know what kind of fabric this is. It's something very rich and regal looking, so we'll put a little bit of this in there. Hopefully that will look okay. My worry is that this looks a little modern. Like the weave itself is perhaps too modern for the piece that we're supposed to be getting. Let's see how it looks. We won't do any final gluing until we make some decisions. How do we get rid of the excess? Let's do a couple more. Nothing wrong with the Swiss cheese method. What we really need is the little milling machine. I have the little tiny Genmitsu milling machine over here. And it's kind of what we need. However, I just don't know if I have the skills to drive it manually in the way that I really need. And my geometry powers are limited for a CAD program, especially with weird shape. So do we want to try with this first? See if we can just knock some of that stuff down. We really need something like this. Well, diamond burr. Trying to get in there with the ball attachment. Because one of the problems is that one of these two sides has to be the hero side. By hero side, I mean the side that the hero would hold on camera. I guess that's why that's called that. And we don't want to ruin either of the hero sides if we don't have to. Because the more force I put onto this, the more frustrated I'm going to get. And the more frustrated I get, the more chance I have of bending this entire thing into nothingness. So let's step back, let's think, let's take a break. Okay. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, now we got to clean this up with the files. know what I want to do now before it gets too late is go to the fabric store. Okay. So I've got my cut out top part, but as you can see from the back, it's still a little uneven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Sharpie and I'm going to glue up the other side, and I'm going to try to do some really precise straight edge work so I can see where I'm aiming for. I went to the craft store. I got some felt because I could not find any purple silk, which is what I would prefer. But let's see if we can't get some of this blue off. I think it's gonna have to be close enough. Oh yes. I don't know, that's looking pretty cool. That's looking kind of good. Let's get some fabric down. Yeah! Yeah! Okay, well, that's kind of where we're at right now. As you can see, I've made some progress. I've removed a lot of material. But my main challenge now is going to be that thickness. That may be as good as she's going to get right now. That's pretty good. Now for some polishing. Now it's time to polish. Other than this little nick right there, I think that looks pretty good. I obviously see more flaws in it than you do on camera, but be that as it may, I don't think it looks half bad. Yeah! Okay, now real polishing. I can tell you the one thing we're not going to do here. We are not going to let the perfect be the enemy of the finished. And so my projects are often imperfect. They are often... I don't know, it looks okay on camera. They're not perfect. They're not going to be perfect. I'm not trying to make them perfect. I'm trying to increase my own skills. I'm trying to become more powerful. I decided we're going to super glue the dragon on. I don't believe there to be too much of a problem with that. I don't believe that to be a controversial opinion. I don't believe that to be a controversial... Well, you know, before we do this, let's hold off a second. I want to polish the heptagon before we do anything else. Okay, we need to clean this up. I think that looks pretty cool. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I bet you can tell that that's what it was supposed to be. Look at that dragon. Look how cool. Again, it looks better. It looks better on camera, I'm sure, than it does in person. It's not super awesome. We made a lot of mistakes along the way. That's okay, it's part of it. Here we go. Oh yeah. Cool. So there's one down, 12 to go. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. It's not the cleanest. It's not the best, but it is finished. And if we really, really don't like it, we can do it again. Dun, 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 dun. That looks kind of cool. If you want to see the rest of these get made, make sure you subscribe, and we're going to make more stuff and talk more about engineering and science and everything like that, so stay tuned.